Greetings and welcome back to Let's Get Started as Japan in Victoria 3. And indeed, we are back, because I felt there were a few things that were still left undone. Though we've gone through 20 years, and 20 years seems an appropriate time frame for a Let's Get Started series, I think another 4 or even 8 years would be appropriate to wrap up these loose ends. So to begin to progress, we want to first look at the diplomatic situation. In the last episode, I noted that Qing is at war with Britain, and that Britain has demanded they open their market. This can be very good for us, because it will create a new trading partner on the international scene. In general, when the Qing market opens up, it's a boon for the entire world economy, and you'll note that if you get to the end game, the gross GDP of the entire world will be much greater if Qing has been forced to open their market. Our relations with Qing right now are presently neutral. We're going to leave them at this 19 just for now, and once the war has successfully concluded, we will start improving relations. Successful on the British side, and while it seems like a given, because they're doing so well, I scanned the map in between plays and noticed something else. Russia has decided to declare war for Circassia, and because the British Navy is distracted in the Far East, Russia was actually able to land troops on British soil, and is presently occupying the entire country, well, on their way to it. In this war, Russia has also demanded several other things. They've demanded that Cornwall be liberated, Quebec be liberated, and Malta be liberated, so we could see some interesting developments on the map. This should warm the heart of any long-time Victoria 3 players, as we often find that Britain is the nemesis that foils all of our plans. You'll also see that Prussia has taken a little bit of a hit to their prestige as well. We see a little independent Poland here. This is actually just another Polish revolt within the Poland that has already formed. It also seems that some of the miners may be developing in interesting directions. Let's take a quick look at whether they're at war. They're not right now, and who do they have truces with? They have no truces, so they must have lost Poland in a revolt. Why they weren't able to put down that revolt if they haven't got any truces is a mystery to me. Normally, if you have a revolt in an AI country that was somehow successful, it means the armies were distracted somewhere else. Alright, enough of our schadenfreude enjoying the misery of the people of the British Isles. Let's look at one more thing. We're about ready to earn recognition. So when you do this, you'll get an event that can cause a diplomatic cascade with a country. You can manipulate this somewhat by choosing which country has the best relations. I noted that we have the best relations currently with France and America. Both of them are protective and amicable. Now the US is a more useful long-term trading partner and even military partner. France, I always want to be a good partner, but a lot of times the AI messes that up. So what we're going to do very quickly, to kind of nudge the event and hope that it lands on the Americans instead of the French, is damage our relations with the French just a bit. I will try not to forget to remove that. Alright, and while we are over here, let's do a quick check and see if we can get any treaties. I just been looking for mutual trade agreements with a few people. We can get them with the Prussians with a 92% success chance. So we'll send that. If it fails, then it fails. We'll come back later. We can check the French as well, but I don't really want to do anything that actually improves our relations. There's a good chance of that passing also. And the British, might as well take a look. Nope, they're not even close. I already checked the Americans, so they're not close either. Alright, we're set up there on the international scene a little bit. Perhaps we're going to skip the whole Japanese-American rival from the 40s and skip straight to the 80s, as in 1980s in this case, and the era of Japanese and American friendship. Now we can focus on getting our construction back up and running. Now the first thing I need to do is actually do something which I said several times I would do, but kept on forgetting, and that is to subsidize my ports. Several of them that were built at the start of the game are already subsidized, but the rest are not. They're profitable anyhow, but still, I like to subsidize them just in case. You don't want any sudden crashes in your infrastructure at this point of the game. Sorted. Let's move on now. The first thing we wanted to do was to upgrade our construction in Tohoku. So let's get that rolling. We're going to want, again, the same as Kanto, about 380 iron. But we're almost ready to finish water tube boilers, so we don't actually need that much. So instead, I'm going to build a bit less than my typical 8 or 9. I'm going to build 4 iron, and then I'm going to pop down and build 2 coal, because coal will get a bit more in demand with the new water tube boilers, as will tools. Build out 1 more tool there, and finish out with 2 more iron. With that, we're done with that construction. We can also do a quick check though and make sure that we're upgrading all of our inputs and minerals. It's a bit early to move up these, and we're going to cause some price disruptions and some unprofitability, but we're going to get the economy used to the fact that we're on better production means. This in particular will cause a little bit of a price crash, but we're going to do it anyways so that the AI doesn't build a bunch of lead mines thinking that we're using picks and shovels, and then we have to come back later and disappoint them. We're now updated on all our PMs for our mining, and we can move on to the next thing I wanted to build, and that is to upgrade our navy. As I said, this is important to put in from time to time and keep on adding a few ships so that in the end game you can compete with the British. Though it doesn't look like it's hard to compete with the British right now if even the Russians are making a naval landing. I accidentally added a ship already to the islands in the last episode, so we're going to build 1 more here this time as well, so we have an even number of ships. There we go, ships are sorted. Now let's tack in a few additional universities. As you see, my strategy of always kind of building a university whenever we were building a few other more productive-oriented establishments in a state has paid off, and we've got a good balance of universities between our states. Chubu, though, is neglected. As I noted in episode 1, I tend to accidentally neglect this province quite often, so we'll give them a university. We'll also put down universities in provinces that become main industrial centers in my early game. These will be Kushu, because it is the main center for fertilizers, explosives, munitions, and related goods. Another one in my paper capital, of course. And we'll drop down another in Kanto, because Kanto ends up being a great catch-all for many things, sort of heavy industry leaning, but not as heavy as Hokkaido will be. We'll just do 4 for now. As soon as we've upgraded all our construction methods to iron frame, we'll do a bigger university building spree. Universities are sorted now. I'm going to move on and build a couple more fish, because I feel like I've slightly neglected the sushi side of my development strategy. We'll finish development in Kanto, pop down another one in Tohoku, and even give Hokkaido one as well. 3 is good for now, because I also want to build a few fish in addition to the whales. These I'm going to put down where I eventually plan on having some food industries. And indeed, Chubu is an okay place for some food industries, so I will give them 1. I will also put down a bit more in Kanto and Kansai, because they have good agricultural buffs, so those are good places with high populations that will be demanding groceries. Lastly, I'll pop down at least 1 in Chugoku, just so there's some local supply. We'll get local supply to the other provinces later. The final 2 construction elements that I want to add are related to our future and current companies. And that is first, that we currently only have furniture being constructed here, and it will only make luxury furniture. If we add in, or if we let the AI add in more furniture, they will also only be building luxury furniture. So we want to nudge them to produce also some normal furniture for normal people. So we're going to put a furniture in Shigoku. Why here? Well, because the people here are a little bit richer because they're making a lot of money off the paper mills, and they'll have more demand for furniture. Furniture is also going to be, in the start, a little bit low on the demand because our population really isn't quite ready for it. It'd probably be much smarter to actually build textiles for them. but I'm sticking with my plan as I had it laid out. We gotta remember to turn this furniture then to non-luxury goods. We'll also pop one in Kanto because Kanto will get rich pretty quick, and they also will be demanding furniture pretty soon. Later on, we'll put one in Shikoku and maybe think about producing luxury furniture again there. I'll also put down 2 non-luxury clothings because all of our clothing industries, which are here, well, not here, in Kansai and Kushu, are producing luxury clothing. So I'm going to put down a non-luxury clothing place, also in Shikoku. And because it doesn't have any dye up here yet, I'm going to add in some dye as well, because we'll be needing that as well for our paper industry. Just one to get the ball rolling. Next, I'm going to pop down 1 glass in Kansai. This is because our future glass company will be based out of Kansai. That is a scripted headquarters location. And we want to get the AI used to the fact that glass is a great thing to build in Kansai, so maybe we don't have to build up 5 glass there and the furniture company will do it for us. In that interest, I'm going to actually even subsidize the glass in the hopes that they take advantage of these little government kickbacks. I'll also build a food industry here because it's profitable, and later on it'll use glass and that will drive some demand here. This will also help feed our alcohol addiction a little bit and maybe make us a bit of extra cash. Finally, the last thing, and we're done with the construction queue, I neglected to build up some gold mines in Hokkaido. Gold isn't terribly useful for Japan, but nonetheless, a little bit of extra money is always beneficial. We are then ready to go. Let's slowly get our clock rolling and see how this law pans out. Prussia has agreed to our treaty, though that does also mean that maybe we'll get a diplomatic cascade with Prussia. I did fail to pay attention to that. Yes, indeed. Let's damage our relations with them a little bit too. Let's take a quick look at what the private sector is making. A lot of agricultural goods, but we are taxing tea, and so we'll make more money. If people drink more tea, then we'll tax more of the tea. That was elegantly said, was it not? I hope the French attitude has worsened. We're going to stop damaging relations then with them. They have become cautious. We'll try to improve them again as soon as we've earned recognition. We don't mind that they're cautious too much. That's fine. We can speed up our clock now in the interest of progressing the game more quickly. And then I'll pause right away. This is part of the event chain that we started in the last episode on the disempowering of the Shogunate. Rumors about the sinful life of the leader of the Shogunate are making the rounds, and we can either encourage them or encourage them. This is a fairly poorly designed event. They are almost identical, except that the Shogunate is less happy on the lower event and yet has less impact on their pop attraction and has more here. I don't like this event because there is a chance that you take a legitimacy hit, but you have no option to avoid that. So you just have to click it and hope it works out. Have we taken one? We did indeed take a legitimacy hit, and a pretty severe one. -10. So that will complicate our life a little bit and delay the honorable restoration. Prussia attitude has also worsened now, so that's good enough. Let's stop damaging the relations there. We'll try to remember to start improving them later once we've earned our recognition. We do indeed now have per capita taxation, so that should cushion any sort of financial costs to transitioning to our iron frame buildings. We're not making a lot of extra money though at the moment, because we were really on the border of the 2 tax codes being about the same in how much money we were making or losing. Persuasion. So the rumors of the leader of the Shogunate's life are spreading and reputation is undermined. We can continue to blackmail him, and he will actually resign here, which is lovely. We could make the scandal even bigger, and I've never done this, so I don't actually know what happens next if we do this. Or we can say this has gone too far. We do want the leader of the Shogunate to step down, so let's make him step down. And this is always a good thing to do because he tends to be replaced with the modernizer. That's useful. We can maybe utilize him to pass interventionism. He's fairly popular as well. And water tube boilers has unlocked. And we've completed securing the power. Let's take care of that first. The final word. Our efforts to undermine the Shogunate's reputation have been extremely successful. We can get a bonus here to our authority, but only about 5%, or a absolutely foolish risk to take in getting a 10% bonus to authority, which still isn't that much, but it's only 50% chance, or we can get 15 extra legitimacy. We're going to take this. Usually this is very nice because it will help kick off the honorable restoration, but our legitimacy is so low right now that it actually doesn't make a difference. It's a bit of a shame that that event didn't fall in our favor. We might get this a bit higher though as soon as we kick the Hyman out, which we will do right now, because we have to pass a new law. Let's not forget though about our water tube boilers. In a game like this, things move pretty fast sometimes, and it's easy to overlook stuff. So what law do we want to pass next? We have a couple choices. We could pass either the peasant levies, get them removed in favor of professional army, or go back to our local police force. That's going to be hard to pass because it's fragmented support, but not difficult. The samurai would support it at 17%, as would the intelligentsia. Samurai would also support this, and this makes them really happy, which is why we're not going to do it. We're going to hold off for a second and save this plus 20 mood buff for the samurai until later, because they tend to get upset when we pass wealth voting unless they get a new leader. I'm going to avoid local police force as well because I just don't want to deal with that trauma again, and instead I'm going to lean towards trying to get off of agrarianism if it's possible. Modernization movement would support this, but they seem a little bit lackadaisical at the moment. Indeed, they are still passive from our passing of 2 laws that they liked. Taking a look at this, the Shogunate would support it at 15%, as would the petite bourgeoisie and the industrialists. Let's look at the government here. The military can come in very easily and would be legitimate, which is unfortunate, because then we start the clock ticking and we can't take advantage of this modernizing shogunate leader. It's kind of surprising that he's not actually at least moderately legitimate. Well, he is actually. So we could put the shogunate in power, but they're actually not as strong as the intelligentsia or the samurai anymore. Well, impressive. Tell you what, I don't like the fact that the modernizer movement isn't supporting interventionism, and we're not in a rush to move off of it, so I'm going to put the samurai in power. Now, these pop-ups I haven't enabled that initially I didn't really like so much, I've actually kind of learned to appreciate. This is an aspect of the game you don't really pay much attention to, how your government influences your relations with other powers. So once we put the samurai in power, all of a sudden the Russians liked us more, because I guess they like militaristic stuff. Who would have thought? Now let's see what laws he'll support. Just peasant levies and local police force. That is, getting rid of them. Chances are about the same on both, as are the stall chances. I guess that's because of our modernizer in the shogunate. Let's deal with local police force then, and recover from our trauma experience. Now we can get the clock rolling, slowing it down just a bit, and no, I have not forgotten our water tube boilers. We're going to let just 1 iron finish, and then we'll upgrade everything to water tube boiling. But we will move this tooling up, because I think tools are going to get a bit expensive. The minute we upgrade the water tube boiling, we'll be able to also upgrade our construction. This is another ill thought out thing from Paradox. In fact, I think it's a bit of a bug. So we spent a lot of time damaging the reputation of the leader of the shogunate. That leader resigned and was replaced with a modernizer. Now this event says we have been tenacious efforts to undermine the reputation of Tomasuka Ito, the new leader of the shogunate. We never tried to undermine his reputation. He's the new guy, and we can actually get rid of him as well, which would be foolish because we don't know who he would be replaced with. So this has indeed gone too far. We're going to make the samurai a bit unhappy, but they're pretty thrilled with our current ongoing efforts to reform the police. All right, let's upgrade all of these. This is going to cause a quick crisis in the markets, but that's fine. I'll do the same to lead. A bit of a prestige boost. That will help when we get recognized. All of a sudden we'll be much higher in the power ranks. And let's indeed look at the market. Actually, it didn't do that much. It did drive down the price of iron, but we're going to fix that right now. We still have excess iron. We could consider maybe upgrading all of our construction. An excess of 67 isn't exactly a lot, but I think we should do it. Let's see what the hit is like. That isn't bad at all. We actually still have some iron even queued up. I'll delete this coal here. And since our shortage is looking at about 355, I'll delete only one of these here. I'm going to check our progress on tech here. All right. With mechanical tools about ready to pop, to deal with the tool shortage, I'm going to actually start deploying some steel tools. And we'll build that up in Hokkaido. Our infrastructure is okay, I assume here. Yes, it is still okay. Later, steel tends to go in all of your iron-bearing provinces, as well as anything producing coal, because you'll need a lot of steel. So let's get a steel mill up here, and that will require that we support it with a bit of extra coal and iron. And in addition to that, let's start planning ahead and maybe queue up a motor industry. That might be a bit foolish, actually. Let's pull that. I pulled the wrong one. All right, steel. There we go. So there is one thing that I did indeed forget. Has anybody noticed what it is? I'm sure you have, because there's a big thing at the top of the screen blinking at me, and yet I still managed to overlook it. Luckily, we haven't come that far. We have to establish our company. Paper company is losing a little bit of profitability, but that will recover in short order. Once our universities get up, paper is going to become more valuable. So let's establish our company. Let's knock on wood, which seems appropriate since we're using a lot of wood, and cross our fingers and hope we get a good executive. Doesn't seem like he's very popular since he doesn't have a bonus to his progress on prosperity, but he is a modernizer. Ooh, he is the Shogunate, meaning he is boosting the Shogunate's strength. That is unfortunate. Would have been nice to get somebody a little bit better. Your usual standard basic entrepreneur bonus, and nothing special here. He indeed is nothing special. Sorry, my friend. Luckily, this company won't be along forever. We're going to remove the monopoly on wood that was given to our paper company. They've monopolized that long enough and probably already control such a large share nobody else is going to bother entering the market. That way we can give industry rights for lead to our United Chubo Home Goods Company. We're not going to give them anything else because I'm not going to make any sacrifices in other areas of my life in order to boost the profitability of a company that will probably not be around for very long. We do have a little bit of extra authority we're floating. We could utilize that somewhere. Let's boost the smarts in Chiguko. Pharmaceuticals has started spreading as well. Maybe we'll actually get some healthcare up for our people. We still haven't gotten any spread on dialectics, which is unfortunate. It's going to take us a while till we can roll out our third educational institution. Hopefully there won't be too many events now that interrupt our flow into the future. Little bit of progress on our police reform. The honorable restoration has indeed started ticking. Cornish attitudes have improved. Indeed, Britain has lost a war. Mark the day on your calendar. October 1st. Well, it was probably yesterday, though. The end of September. Reforming the government. All right. The intelligentsia can still be swapped in and get us progress on our honorable restoration. Let's go take a look here at the independent Cornwall and Malta and Quebec. Nations you do not see very often popping out. Oh, that is unfortunate. I forgot somebody. Well, the Austrians are fine for friends, I guess. A new dawn for the Japanese Shogunate. Ratify the treaty. And some attitudes have improved because we are now a recognized power. Now that that has happened, let's get back on improving the relations with the people that we damaged them with. It could cause, of course, diplomatic cascades that we regret later, but at this point of the game, I just want friends everywhere. How did the British do with their war against the Qing? They must have white peaced because the system there is still on isolationism. That's a bit unfortunate, so we're not going to improve relations with them right now, so that we keep the option open to grab a treaty port. I will note very quickly, if you grab a treaty port ever, it can be worthwhile sometimes to trade it back to Qing later, because in exchange for this, they'll give you investment rights, and you can get those for 25 years. So once you have like 1,000 construction or more, you can get those investment rights and control a huge chunk of the economy in Qing, or in the Heavenly Kingdom if they've taken over by then. You can also cheese it a little bit and take the treaty port from Portugal. They will sell it for a fairly low price, and then you could trade that back to Qing instead. It's not too cheesy because you don't get the advantage of a treaty port if you buy it off somebody else. And now the Swedish dislike us because we've gotten better than them. Not our fault that we're just so much better than you, Sweden. Mechanical tools have unlocked, and we don't want to neglect this. We want to immediately then put up some sulfur, at least 2, in Chugoku. Probably we'll need even more. That sulfur will improve the quality of our paper. Events just a rollin'. We've got organized crime, my least favorite event in the entire game. One which I will one day create a mod just to remove it. Either you get to pay a bunch of extra money, or you get to take a hit to your authority. I'm sure we're fine on money, but we plan on pushing things a little bit harder here soon, and so I don't want to sacrifice that much money for that many years. The authority, on the other hand, I think we can take a small hit to, but I don't know exactly how that's going to math out, so we'll see how bad it gets. Not bad. We can just remove the social mobility decree we just put down and even that out. What do the Dutch want? An alliance. That's fascinating. Japan does not normally get alliance invitations this early in the game, and we are not that terribly strong militarily. But I guess the Dutch are not that strong militarily either. It is a bit unfortunate. They're a fine ally to have, but they could get into some trouble that we don't want to be involved in. So I'm not sure we want an alliance, even if it does make our little Japanese-Dutch association happier. And that is a good association to make happy. Let me think about this for just a second. Okay, second has passed. Unfortunately, with videos like this, I can't spend a lot of time mulling things over. I'm going to neglect that and say no for right now. I'm sorry, guys. It's a little bit risky, and we don't even have the capacity of convoys to supply an army going all the way to Europe. Let's decline that. I'm sorry, fellas. You don't need to necessarily honor an alliance, though. It's a little bit of a terrible thing to do, but, you know, it's the way it works in the real world as well. We'll instead actually, though, try to make them a little bit happy. Oh, they have a power block. No wonder they want an alliance. They don't really want to help us. They actually want to just undermine us. Good luck with your economy size. We'll see if they'll swap trade privileges, though, and at least make them happy with that. Great. Let's check also if Austria wants trade privileges. Not much of a chance, and I'm not going to give them investment rights yet. So let's not bother. And we could come back to France now and see if they're willing to do the trade privileges again, despite the fact that we damaged relations. 65, not perfect, but, you know, we'll risk it and see if it goes through. It did. So we're getting a lot of trade relations up, which means we're going to also want to set interests in this region so that we get some additional trade advantage when we're trying to sell our paper. My apologies, I forgot to unpause. And Britain is going right back into Indochina anyways. Looks like they're going to make a protectorate of Denam. I'm not going to check though. I don't need to know. I'll find out in a bit when they change color. Yeah, they won't change color as a protectorate. And now we're another power block down in Italy. Let's see how our construction is progressing. Okay, we're on to the Navy now. But I'm unhappy, as odd as that may sound, with our financial situation, in that we just have too much money. So let me pop out a couple additional construction sectors. We'll balance out between our main iron provinces and pop one in Shikoku down there. And let's give Hokkaido one more as well. Just go with 2 for now. Put them to the top of our queue. We're going to probably add quite a few more pretty quickly though. But I don't want to get distracted building iron until we've finished all of the other stuff on our list. We do have a stall. We could derive some benefit, a bit of a bureaucracy hit. So we need to build another bureaucracy. Top this down in Chuba. Sounds like a good place. I'm opening up all sorts of screens now that I don't need to be opening. That does give us a setback and my trauma returns, but I think we'll be fine. Should we check if the Americans have decided that they want a treaty? They do not. Not terribly useful right now, but one day it will be. We can check our shipyards and see if they would be more productive, though, if we upgrade them. And even if they're not, I will upgrade at least one of them. We've got one here, and that is indeed productive, as are the other ones. But let's upgrade this one. Click for a month, and now let's see if the other ones would still be productive. Nope, they indeed would not. Some passing chances. Excellent. Trauma receding. We are still just a rolling in the money, and we're getting our universities built. Then we'll be done with them and move on to fishing. Where should we build up the construction? How are iron prices looking? Not bad at all. Nonetheless, I'm going to pop down another iron up there. And I'm going to pop down 2 more construction sectors. Torrential rains. And the reason that I'm popping down the iron is not because I see it as too costly, but because it will create demand for coal. More gold in Hokkaido, and we have a gold rush. Sometimes you get this event when gold is discovered. Sometimes you don't. It's a bit of a coin toss, I guess. Mine, it's all mine, or spread the word. We will spread the word, and we will always spread the word. Getting migration attraction to Hokkaido. I could drop the social mobility there now, and I'm going to move it down to Chugoku. It is a fairly educated place, but it doesn't have quite as high literacy as some of the other provinces. You know, Kansai and Kanto in particular. So it does not hurt us to boost it up because we're doing a lot of development there. All right. Well, petite bourgeoisie, their purposes are moderately served. They do have a modernizer leader, as does the industrialists now, in addition to the shogunate. So modernizers are spreading across Japan. It doesn't hurt, I guess, for him to take a little bit of a hit so we don't take too much success chance decrease. I don't want to get another setback right now when we're still on the introduction phase. Bit of a shame. I still have a couple uses for them until all of a sudden they become a danger. I'm going to pop one of their sulfur mines to the top. I want to get the paper company used to the fact that they have a new production method, so we don't overproduce and end up losing a lot of profitability later. How much are we exporting? Not a lot, and that's probably because we don't have enough trade centers here. We've got 8 of them, so they are producing a fair amount. Winds of Change. This is a journal event. We have urbanized our country sufficiently to earn a little reward, and the reward is very little. Kansai can shine like never before, loyalists, or urban center throughput. They're both fine, but not useful. We don't have a lot of loyalists, though, so let's try to get some more. One sulfur mine isn't going to really be enough to provide much sulfur to our paper industry, but nonetheless, it'll get us rolling. We could actually subsidize this. This action is not allowed, simply because it's not built yet. I could have sworn you could subsidize stuff in advance. Did I build the sulfur in the wrong? Oh, I built the sulfur here. My apologies. I apologize a lot. I'm sorry about that. Something you can do if you don't want too much disruptions to your market, of course, is subsidize an industry before you start going and transitioning the industry that's utilizing that resource. That way they don't lose any money. It's not particularly important, but if you're relying on, for instance, a very profitable company to keep a bonus, then it can help. Those gold fields didn't last long. We're not going to let them leave. There goes our migration bonus. All right. So they are employing up, and we can transition at least one of our papers. So I don't have to pause. I'm just going to slow down the clock here a second. We can accept this event very quickly and get a higher chance of success. Let's check our paper industries here and see which one we can upgrade without causing too much disruption. There's too many there, and they're building even more in Chubu, so let's look at upgrading Kansai. They will lose a bit of profitability, but the company is just going to have to deal with that for a moment. Once the other sulfur is up, sulfur prices will come down, and they'll get a bit more profitable again. We can even move that up for them, but not above our furniture. That will encourage the furniture company to diversify their portfolio a little bit. Now we can speed up again. As you can see, we are losing a bit of money, but once our construction queue is empty, we'll rest for a moment, ensure that the private sector can burn their investment pool down a little bit, because that indeed is a little bit large, and we have to let them get that down. Law passed to adoption. Hoorah! One more government admin. Kanto is coming up, the future capital of our country, so we can put one there. And I noticed that we've lost a general, so let's see if we can get a replacement that boosts a interest group that we like. We'll also check if we got a new admiral again. None of them are perfect, but I don't mind the samurai being strong. It's an interesting, strong coalition there between the monks, samurai, and intelligentsia, and they're all doing so well. So let's strengthen the samurai just a tad, because Surveyor is a good trait to have if something goes terribly wrong and somebody decides to land on our shores. Navally speaking, let's see if we've gotten anybody better yet. No, it's all still the same. Once our construction... Oh, I hope they didn't get, oh no, they've got a radical revolt. That is natural. Ooh, okay. So that, despite the hard times that Prussia was enduring, it seems they are doing a unification play. That looks like a unification play to me, at least, but that is not the war they are involved in. Italian leadership play. Why do they have so many angry borders? It's the play I was looking at. Yep, it is indeed a unification play. And they are not getting much support, and they have many enemies. The Americans and the Spanish. I wonder why the Americans really care. Are they allied with somebody? Nope. They just want to stick their nose in affairs that do not concern them. It's a little bit early for that. The Dutch-Japanese Association is offering foreign investment rights agreement with the Netherlands. We don't really want to do that, but we'll say yes. There's no punishment for not. Let's take a quick look at their companies. They have a grain company. They could flush out our food sectors. I don't really want to do it nonetheless because they have such a bad population that they have nothing to do with their construction pool except to build in a foreign country. Especially now that we're getting very profitable. They're probably not going to bother with grain, and they're going to skip straight to investing in all our coal. Trust me, I've done this before. It happens a lot. Modernization movement. Little boost to their radicals and their popularity. Looking at... Oh, yay, dedicated police. This is a lovely event. We get a little bit of progress on our pharmaceuticals. It's spreading anyways, so let's see whether we complete it automatically when we click this event. It's a shame about the cholera in Kenzai, of course, but yay, tech progress. Indeed, we did finish it right away. So another tech can start spreading. Hopefully, it will be one that we need. Indeed, I'm really hoping that it is dialectics. Netherlands wants a treaty again. How is the appeasement looking? It's already +2, and of course it would go even higher. Oh, Netherlands. They would be able to build, and we would be able to build in them. What does the community say? The Grand Alliance. The leader is the Netherlands. If we would be able to take it over later, probably. But because we will definitely pass them in prestige at some point. But we'll probably never even get in. They would never, ever get enough influence in our country, or enough leverage to allow us in. How ambitious of them to take a vassalization one. I love the idea of supporting the Netherlands, but that's not the best alliance for us. So I'm going to pass on it and hope that we can get a better alliance later. I really feel bad about it, and were I not playing for a video, I would probably actually just take the alliance because it would have nice role-playing value. I want to check out then our other paper industry here in Chubu and see how unprofitable it will become if we upgrade it to sulfide. It stays the same, so that is good. Let's move it over. Again, it's important to get your company used to the idea that they are using a new production method so they don't overproduce too much. Oh, maybe we should have helped them. What's going on here? Oh no, I'm glad I did not support you with an alliance. That's why they wanted an alliance. They planned on starting a war. The support of Belgium is being given by Sweden. Probably going to be a bit rough for the Netherlands then. I do like the diplomatic play. It's improved quite a bit in the game, but I'm still in an isolationist mindset. I'm not quite ready for the entanglement of foreign alliances. We're going to have to wrap up pretty soon because I'm sure we're almost over time, but I hope that we can finish our construction queue first. All of our episodes have been going a bit long. I think we can make it, though. Tell you what, though. We won't focus on it too much. It'll be fine. We just have to remember to finish upgrading our paper and to start upgrading our tools to steel tools when we start off the next episode. Tools aren't actually that expensive, so we're going to want to really actually build a bunch more construction to support our coal, iron, and tool industries. That, and I can tell even by kind of eyeballing it, that we're going to need more construction to really burn this investment pool down at a rate that is sufficient for us. So the only thing we'll do before wrapping up this episode to keep it to a reasonable time is contemplate which law we want to pass next. Really nice to see that the industrialists are strong enough to actually help us form a government. We're not going to go to it quite yet because I want to progress towards the honorable restoration, but it's good to know that the trends of history are moving ever in that direction. If we do swap over to either the petite bourgeoisie or the industrialists, we will be able to pass interventionism. But since we can't do that quite yet, without sacrificing our progress to the honorable restoration, we'll do professional army. It's going to radicalize the shogunate, which is pretty interesting. I thought they wouldn't have objected quite as much now, but they're still very unhappy from all the bad stuff we did to them a while ago. We'll probably do that anyways, but we'll start off our next episode with that. So the next episode will be to finish our construction queue so we can upgrade all of our paper and upgrade our tooling to steel, and then to build out a raft of new construction to make our industries such as mining and tooling more profitable before building out, as I promised, a bunch of universities and some more ships as well. Then we'll pass a new law and move our way slowly towards democracy, maybe. We shall see. All right, with that, I'll close this out. And thank you again for joining me. We only actually got through a 3-year period. There was a lot of events happening, and that entailed a lot of micro. We will, in the next episode, get through probably the next 4 years, and then that would properly conclude this setting up guide for anybody who wants to, again, go off and play Japan on their own. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Hope to see you again, and ciao.